Welcome back for another Nighthaunt Tactics episode. I'm Matt the Mayor Tyrrell and I'm going to do episode 5 tonight, Warscroll Battalions. I'll take you through each one, what's involved with each battalion, what units and then what benefits you get, and I'll give a couple of examples of how you can best use it in your games, and hopefully it'll help you to build a list and go from there. So let's get started. We'll start with the first one, and that is Shroud Guard. I'm going to just skip the big battalion because it's something that's not ever going to be used unless you're playing huge games. So we'll just skip the Nighthaunt procession and go straight onto the Shroud Guard. So the requirements of the Shroud Guard is you need 1 Knight of Shrouds or Rykenor the Grim Hailer and 2 units of Blade Geists. So roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a Blade Geist Revenant model from a unit in this battalion wholly within 12 of the Knight of Shrouds or Rykenor the Grim Hailer from the same battalion. On a 5+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. If you use this ability, you cannot also use a Deathless Spirits battle trait to try to negate the same wound or mortal wound. So it just gives you, your death save is now a 5+ instead of a 6+. Now this battalion's probably one of the more popular battalions, with Blade Geist being quite a popular choice in armies. So it depends on which way you want to run your list. Knight of Shrouds is a good one to run in this list. You can give them the extra attacks. Rykenor's there if you have a spell like Cogs or something that you really want to get off. He's that hero that you can get that +3 to cast. It's a good little battalion. It's not going to lower your drops too much, anything like that, but it's giving you get that extra command point, you get an extra artifact choice, and it just makes those units of Blade Geist that little bit more resilient. I prefer when running this battalion to run at least units of 15, otherwise I find units of 5 or 10 it's not really worth doing. They die too quick, and you don't really get the benefit from it. If you've got a unit of 15 or 20, they tend to survive a lot longer with that 5 up after save. Then the issue then is units of 20 are hard to get all into combat as they're on 32mm bases with only 1 inch reach. So that's the Shroud Guard. We'll go on to the next one, which is Death Riders. So this one you need 1 to 2 Dreadblade Harrows, 2 units of Hexrace, and 1 Black Coach. Now you add 1 to charge rolls for units from this battalion. In addition, if you make an unmodified charge roll of 9+ for a unit from this battalion, it can fight immediately after you complete the charge move. This does not stop the unit from being picked to fight in the combat phase of the same turn. If this battalion is part of a Nighthaunt army, this ability replaces the Wave of Terror battle trait for all units in this battalion. So this one's actually quite good. You can play this one in Mixed Death and you get the Wave of Terror in Mixed Death. The only thing I don't like about it, and most people probably know, is I'm not a huge fan of Hexrace, so to me that sort of lets them down. But in saying that, if you've got extra attacks on your Hexrace or something like that, getting that Wave of Terror off and then fighting again in the combat phase can be really, really brutal. Also the Black Coach, getting a Wave of Terror off it. It just means if you're deep striking with something, that 9+ charge, you know, you're going to get the Wave of Terror, but you're getting +1 in charge. So you only need an 8-inch charge if you deep strike, from the Underworld, sorry, not deep strike. So the Dreadblade Harrows, they're really good option as a general too if you want to run this list. This list will get you a couple of drops lower in your army, which is good. Same thing again, you get an extra CP, extra artifact choice. So yeah, and that Black Coach can actually, you can team it up with a Dreadblade. Dreadblade can be a general with Rule of Spirit Hosts. That Black Coach can obviously heal, so you can be bringing back 2d3 Hexrace a turn, which is really good. So all in all, it's not a bad battalion. If I liked Hexrace more, I'd love this battalion. But if you want to go a cavalry type battalion, this one's the way to go. So we'll go on to the next one, which is the Condemned. Now, the Condemned consists of 1 Spirit Torment, 1 unit of Chain Gas, 2 Chain Ras Hordes, and each Chain Ras Horde must contain at least 20 models. You can reroll failed hit rolls for attacks made by Chain Ras Horde units while they are wholly within 15 of this battalion's Spirit Torment or Chain Gas. So this actually makes your units of Chain Ras that little bit killier. Making anything that rerolls hits is really good, especially if they're a 4+ to hit. So you're getting a lot more hits, and then if you want to run a Guardian of Souls close by, they're wounding on 3s. So it makes you probably want to really try and beef this up, take 2 units of 40 Chain Ras and actually use them a bit more as a hammer unit. And they're quite cheap, 280 points for 40 is really good. The Spirit Torment's great. As I've said before, I like to use him as a general, so make him your general. And a unit of Chain Gas, they're okay. They're a good support unit. They got a little bit of shooting and stuff, but they're there just for the rerolls here. So yeah, once again, the battalion, couple extra less drops in your list, extra 50 points, extra command point, and extra artifact. But all in all, this one's actually quite a solid choice. Probably one of the better choices if you're wanting to take Chain Ras, I feel, if you want to make them a little bit more competitive and hit a bit harder. So we'll go on to the next one, which is the Chain Guard. So it's a Guardian of Souls, 2 Chain Ras Hordes, and once again, there must be a minimum 20 models each. Each time the Chain Ras Horde from this battalion is affected by the Spectral Lure, the spell of the Guardian of Souls, you can return D6 slain models to that unit in addition to any models returned by the Spectral Lure spell. So you get the spell off, you're getting 2 D6 models back, which is really good. Combine that with the artifact that gives you +3 models back. It's really good. You want to, once again, you probably want to take units of 40 Chain Ras to really get the most of the battalion and really build around that, being within the range of the Guardian of Souls, you're getting the +1 to wound, so that extra +1 to wound just makes them hit and wound a little bit better, so you're getting a few more wounds through, especially big units, they're rerolling 1s to wound, so you wounding on 3s, you tend to get quite a few through. It's not dropping your drops many, you get the same benefits as the other ones. This one's another solid choice. We've got pretty good battalions in the Nighthaunt book. They're all fairly decent. There's a couple that are not so good, but I think we've got a really good book as far as battalions go, which is good. So we'll go on to the next one, which is the Execution Horde. So that's 1 Lord Executioner and 3 units of Spirit Hosts. Subtract 1 for hit rolls for attacks that target this battalion's Lord Executioner, while the Spirit Host unit from this battalion is within 6 of the attacker's unit. In addition, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this battalion's Lord's Executioner, while any Spirit Host units from this battalion are within 6 of the target unit. I personally not a fan of this battalion. A lot of people like it. I just don't like it because it's buffing a unit that is pretty useless. Lord Executioner doesn't tend to do much. He stays alive and that's about it. I prefer something that will do something, will attack or it will heal stuff or whatever, but I just find the Lord Executioner to be such a, I don't know, average unit as far as Warscroll goes. 3 units of Spirit Host is great, so if you want to take a heap of Spirit Hosts and get your drops down, this is the way to go. You're just taking that Lord Executioner as a bit of tax. I guess you can use him as a hero that's going to be giving out your Deathless Save and your reroll charges or whatever you want to do to your Spirit Host, and he's probably going to survive, but once again, it's only in combat that he gets the neg 1 to hit. But he's getting, I don't know, it just says subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks, so you can have him neg 1 to shooting by the looks of it, and look out Sir will get him neg 2, but once again, I don't really like this one, so I'd probably suggest steer clear unless you're wanting to run an army full of spirit hosts. Then maybe that's the way to go. So we'll go on to the next one, the Death Stalkers. So this is 1 Khan Wraith, 2 units of Grimghast Reapers, and 2 units of Glaverath Stalkers. After setup is complete, but before the battle begins, pick 1 enemy unit to be soul marked by this battalion. Add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by units from this battalion that target the soul marked unit. At first glance, that sounds really like a really good ability, but when most opponents have multiple units, normally I'd guess average opponent has 10 units. Making one of those +1 to hit and wound is neither here nor there. You can make it their hardest hitting unit or something like that, but I don't know. I don't really rate it. And then the 2 units of Glaverath Stalkers is a huge tax you have to take because they're pretty useless. There's so much other stuff in the book that's better than them. So personally, if Glaverath Stalkers were better, I think this might be a better battalion, but once again, you're only picking 1 unit to get that +1 to hit and wound, so once that unit's dead, your battalion's useless, pretty much. So yeah, that's that one. So we'll go on to the next one, which is the Shrieker host. You got 1 Tomb Banshee, 2 units of Dread Scythe Harridans, 2 units of Miremorn Banshees. Reroll Battle Shock rolls of 1 for enemy units that are within 6 of any units from this battalion at the start of the Battle Shock phase. In addition, the Inspiring Presence command ability cannot be used on enemy units that are within 6 of any units from this battalion. At the moment, this is probably one of my favourite battalions. I really had a lot of fun with this lately and had quite a lot of success. The Tomb Banshee's attacks, I'll say it now, she's okay, but she's a tax for the battalion. The 2 units of Dread Size, they're really good. They're good if they're not charging. They still get the same amount of attacks. The double damage on 6s to wound. They got Rend. If you can get Lady Olander's spell off to get +1 to hit, they actually become really quite good. And the 2 units of Miremorn Banshees, they are what they are. They're really good. They're good in combat. Once you buff them up, they're good at unbinding spells, eating endless spells, whatever it is. They're another good option. And the abilities of the Warscroll battalion, I just think are so good. The reroll Battle Shocks of 1 comes in handy quite a lot, especially playing against demons when they can bring back models if they roll a 1, anything like that. And then stopping armies using Inspiring Presence is so big, especially with a lot of the new army books and that giving their armies multiple CPs, and people just save those for Inspiring Presence. This ability of the battalion is really good, so I really like this battalion. I'd suggest giving it a go if you haven't. And that's actually the last of the battalions in the book. So the other ones are the Forgotten Scions. These are the new ones that came out in the White Dwarf. So the Forgotten Scions is 1 Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed and 2 Dreadblade Harrows. You add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the Knight of Shrouds' Sword of Stolen Hours. In addition, once per battle round, you can use the command ability on his Warscroll without a command point being spent. So this is actually really good, especially it's one of the reasons I don't like the Knight of Shrouds a lot is because you're spending a CP every turn to get the +1 attack. So to get that free once per battle round, it's actually I reckon it's really good to be able to give units that extra attack. Having 2 Dreadblade Harrows is not terrible. It can be quite good to be able to just teleport around the board with them, and I just think this is a neat little battalion that can be quite helpful. And the other one is the Dolores Guard. It's 2 to 4 units of Hex Rays. Add 1 of the attacks characteristic of melee weapons used by units from the battalion if they charged in the same turn. In addition, if your general is within 3 inches of any friendly units from the battalion, on 2+, you can pass on the wounds and mortal wounds. So this is a really good one if you want to protect your important heroes, like Lady Yolanda or whoever it is. You can just stick a unit of Hex Race next to her or whoever it may be, and they just soak up any wounds that they may take. On a 2+, they're just taking wounds and they die off. But if you got Ruler of the Spirit Host or whatever it is, you just bring them back. So this one's really good for that, and also it's giving your Hex Race an extra attack if they charge. So you can actually buff up a couple of units. Add the Forgotten Scions to it. You're getting an extra 2 attacks in the combat phase. So makes Hex Race actually quite good. So I actually don't mind this one. It's another good option. So that's all the Warscroll battalions we have access to at this stage. So that'll take us to the end of this show. I'd like to just thank everyone for watching again. I'd like to thank Dick Carroll, a new Patreon. Thanks for your generous donations, and anyone watching, please like, subscribe on the YouTube channel. The more people that watch the videos and subscribe, the more people out there that get to watch. So once again, thanks for watching, and see you again soon.